It's the Duffin Up Podcast. All right, Duff Daddies and Duff Mamas, we have a show for you tonight. This one, definitely for the Duff Mamas out there, because we have Ladies' Night tonight. We have Sara D, also known as the travel bag golfer, also known as Sara D, the expert club fitter. We have a fantastic show. Sara, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic.
I feel like we have we're among a celebrity right now. I don't know if anyone's seen her on TikTok, but not only is her content great, but it's super informative. And I feel like we're getting a golf lesson just by talking to you, Sarah. So thank you very much for coming on.
I don't know if golf celebrity is the term quite yet, but I appreciate it.
Well known. I knew who you were before Brendan even said you were coming on the podcast. So, and I was very excited to hear that you agreed to come on. That's
I feel like you've definitely made a significant step if someone is asking you to be on a podcast. The only people that have asked me to be on a podcast is Brendan and Tim here, and that was just because Mike had a baby. So
not true. A little true, but not true. No, I'm kidding, Brian. He's a valuable member of our team, and it would be terrible to lose.
No, it's okay.
So Sara, obviously, first question that we usually ask is, what got you into golf? When you were a little kid, you're just kind of hanging out, and you see a golf club, and you're like, hey, that seems like a fun sport. What got you into golf?
So growing up, I was an only child, but I always played sports, played basketball, played flag football, anything pretty much. My neighborhood, I think, was like all boys for the most part. So we were always outside playing something, and my dad would always watch golf, and he was off on the weekends. So that was just kind of the thing that we did, was watch golf. And at least the first memory for me was watching Jack Nicklaus's farewell at the British Open. I think that was like 05, 06, something like that. And for whatever reason, I was hooked on it and started researching it. I went to the school library, checked out the only book that was about golf, read all about it, thought I could pretty much verbatim every single line in that book, probably recite it. And eventually I talked my dad into hey, I want to try this game. Let's, what do I have to do? So he took me to a driving range. I really liked it. He played a little bit of golf, but not when I was growing up. So he's like, I don't want to mess up your swing. So we're just going to take you to the professional, have them teach you how to do it. And that was just kind of the start. And I've played pretty much ever since then. So.
Yeah. No kidding. And how quickly did you pick it up? Did you find yourself struggling at first, or was it an immediate click? All of a sudden I'm ready to go, and I'm good. I can keep up with just about anyone.
I was 8 at the time, so confidence was pretty high, but my dad at least says it, maybe he's just trying to be nice. He's like, you always looked like you knew how to swing a golf club. So I guess at that point, the swing motion of it came pretty quickly to me. The mental game, however, that's a whole other topic, and that's something I still struggle with. So I was never the child prodigy or anything like that was winning every tournament growing up. Golf was definitely a struggle, especially in high school, but every time I thought I was sick of it, I ended up coming back to it. So kind of seems like everybody with golf, but.
And I feel the mental game gets worse as you get older and you start getting frustrated. As an 8-year-old, you have not a care in the world, I feel like.
We don't care. Yeah, I didn't care if I stalled it over the green. Let's go find it, hit it again.
Yeah, it's so true. It's almost like with anything in your life, you expect to, as you put more time into any sort of thing, work hard at it, you expect to get better at it. But with golf, almost you put in 1,000 hours, and I don't feel like I'm any better.
Oh yeah.
So maybe that's the mental part of it.
Well, when I play now, I have I've learned to kind of cool it down, but I'm a hard-headed Italian at heart, so it gets to me sometimes. But I'll try to hit shots that I know that as a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old, when I was playing every day, hours a day, would be no problem, especially short game shots. And then I try to hit it, and I'm like, are you like, what is going on? Like, this should be like a routine, flop shot, 30 yards. And I'm just, to myself, I have to like mentally check, like, okay, Sarah, when's the last time you practiced your short game? Like, you play twice a week, let's calm down and let's just play the simple bump and run. We're not trying to hit the hero shot every single. Yeah, I definitely, the older I get, honestly, the more frustrated I get with the game a little bit.
That's too funny. Now, have you played like competitively? Like, what's the level of like golf that you've played competitively, whether it be a tournament or high school, college, or
Yes. So I played all throughout middle school, high school. Played my first year in college. I played at a Division II school.
Very nice.
And then I transferred to a Division I school with the intent to play golf over there, but they had already filled their roster. There may have been an opportunity for me to try and walk on, but at that point I was like, you know what, maybe this is kind of my sign just to be a normal college kid for once and just focus on school, and golf isn't going to be my career at that point. So at that point I stopped playing competitively, and I think the last competitive round I played was 4 years ago. So
because there really is that different obviously feel out there, competition versus just playing casually. It's a whole heightened element. I mean, the highest I played was high school, but like even then, I'm significantly better now than I was in high school. I have no idea how I made the team back then, and like I wish I could play even like half of as good as. I mean, I'm not good now either, but like it's just like essentially just I was way worse. I don't know how they even didn't just gloss over my name and tell me that the roster was full just to get me out of there. But.
Sara, so I can't even imagine. My brothers play a little competitively in high school, and I've never really played in any sort of competition besides in a couple of leagues, but that's just, bush league stuff. Now, I'm wondering, is there like a point that you can remember out of all of your golf competitiveness and competitions? What is one moment that stands out? Like, was it a made putt? What's that one thing that you can relive and be like, all right, that is probably my best golf moment, thus far?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Put you on the spot. My apologies.
Yeah, I know. Geez. Actually, I'd probably say one of my best golf moments was I was playing at the World Golf Village, so the Hall of Fame courses.
Wow.
I was playing a tournament over there, junior tournament. And I was playing okay. It was pretty sure it was 2 rounds. Yeah, it was 2 rounds. I was playing okay. But I think after the first day, maybe in 6th or 7th place, just wasn't really scoring well. And it was an okay round, but I was definitely had some struggles. And the second round, I was playing with a friend of mine, and I hit this bunker shot. I wanted to say it was on like 15 or 16. And it was a really tough bunker shot. And I was just it was one of those rounds where I was just grinding it out. Like, I wasn't really hitting it well, but I was just somehow getting up and down. If I got in trouble, at worst, I was making bogey. Like, it was just kind of that one of those steady rounds. And I almost holed out the bunker shot, being short-sided, down slope, like water. And the rest of the round, I was just like calm, cool, and collected. And I ended up coming in 2nd place. And that's probably the one like moment in golf where I was like, all right, like I was able to stay calm and just kind of let the course and I let the players kind of struggle, and I just stayed pretty even keel the entire time. So that's probably the one moment that I would say where
not only is that really cool. First of all, you start off with an amazing place to play golf, and that was already fantastic. And then the difference between maybe us and you is that I can tell you're a way better golfer than we are, because not only did you say I almost hold a 30-yard bunker shot, but then you went on to describe the difficulty of the potential hole out, where you're like, oh, it's downwind, down slope, yada yada yada. Like, where we would just be like, I almost hold a bunker shot.
Right. Yeah.
But you have like the
I feel amazing.
Yeah. Bermuda grad, just like all the details.
The grain was going this way.
It was 9:30 in the morning.
The slight humidity.
it was a 7% humidity outside.
Yeah.
No, we're not gonna go Bryson DeChambeau and just.
Yeah, no, seriously. I also heard I just heard yesterday that Matt Fitzpatrick is pretty calculated with that as well, and writing down every single shot and how off he is from his aim point. So we got a few other people that are just really. Bryson is just the one that well known because he's outspoken about it. Matt's not doing it to talk about it. He's doing it for himself.
I'm not gonna lie, Matthew Fitzpatrick's stuff makes Brighton's stuff look almost amateur hour. He has written down every single one of his shots since he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
Every single one in a yardage book. But he's also nicer. So like I'm cool with Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he doesn't talk about it.
He's a more likable guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we're not comparing you, Sarah, to them and saying, it's just you got
out of that combo.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I guess kind of bringing it back is so how did you get into TikToking? Like, has social media been kind of your thing? Like, what started your TikTok channel, and what kept you going?
Yeah, so I mean, growing up in like the social media era, everybody's on Instagram, Facebook at the time, everything like that. But I was never like heavily into social media where I'm always trying to post and things like that. So it was definitely out of my comfort zone when I saw kind of TikTok came out, and it was during the pandemic where it's like at that point, there's nothing much to do when everything's closed and everyone's flipping through TikToks. And at that point, when I decided to make TikToks, I was actually on vacation in Hawaii, and I was like, I'm playing this really cool course, and I'm probably going to do some more traveling within the next couple of months. Like, let me just record this and kind of see how it goes. So like my first couple videos are me playing in Hawaii and like kind of giving like a course review or overview. And then there was a couple videos that I had seen of people either asking questions regarding like clubs or like what's the difference between this putter and that putter. And so I started stitching those videos and then having my response from the club fitter's perspective. And so that just brought on more questions and things like that, and more messages. Hey, like I do, I'm struggling with this with my driver. Should I change this? And different questions regarding kind of equipment. And so it turned into being what was the travel bag golfer at the time to being more talking about club fitting and different equipment principles and things like that. I never imagined that it would lead me to basically eventually getting the job that I'm working at now. But that's just kind of how it's escalated and turned into, and I could not be more thankful for it because it was so out of my comfort zone and so out of character for me to start any sort of like social media stuff like that I'm glad I took that kind of little leap forward and push myself to start posting online and things like that.
And now you're doing podcasts, talking with three random dudes.
Yeah. I get that. It's like you kind of have respect for people who put themselves out there. It's almost like you for that brief period of send or post, you are so vulnerable. You're like, oh shoot, did I just post the right thing? And it's like but then you realize that guys like us three are just like you. We have every interest in what you are about to say or what you're saying, so thank you for taking that leap in Hawaii and starting something, because without that you wouldn't be here right now and we wouldn't be talking to you. So it's it's funny how things work out. It's pretty cool.
It's just like the entire golf community on TikTok is just, it's pretty awesome because you have obviously all levels, people just starting out, people who have been golfing for years, and they all still have similar questions, like asking you about the different shafts and like just like random things that like go into the golf club that are like, you can tell that person's got the bug. They have the golf bug because they're actually really want to be like, is this going to improve my game? Is that going to do, what's the difference between this putter and that putter? And it's interesting. I think that's definitely important to have those questions answered. There's another guy on TikTok that does similar, where he's all about putters, and like I just got a new putter last year, and like so I'm invested in just like all the different types of putters and learning all that stuff and being able to talk about what I'm using on the course. So we appreciate that. Like I did get fitted a couple of years ago, and I'm I'm just like, you just do your work. Like I'm probably not going to absorb anything that you're telling me, but if it works for me, then I'm very happy. And hopefully no one asks me questions about the clubs that I'm hitting. It's so knowledgeable, but yeah.
So Sarah, what does it mean to be a club fitter? Obviously we go to people like you who, I don't know, I don't even know where to begin to, like, if I try to digest someone's swing, I'm not like, this guy needs a different lie angle because he swings down on the ball. I don't even know. What is like the most common question or most common mistake that you get when an average golfer comes your way and asks for advice?
I mean, as far as the most common question, it's definitely like, what shaft should I be playing? Is it supposed to feel stiff? Is it supposed to feel weak? I think a lot of amateurs almost think that the golf club is supposed to feel like a 2x4 because they're like, oh, it flexes so much. And I'm like, it's supposed to, like, that's what allows us to generate energy and to generate power. It's, we're not swinging. I always kind of use this as like, our body is not swinging club at 95 miles an hour. The club is swinging 95 miles an hour. And you can't just create that energy without having a shaft that's going to do that for you. And as far as the role of a club fitter goes, it's really, we're digesting the numbers that we get from a launch monitor. And I kind of say we're almost like an interpreter, as far as we're telling you, okay, this is what your spin rate is, this is what you do and how you deliver the club. This is why you hit the shots that you hit. Let's find something that's either one, going to help aid that, let's say, mishit that you have, or two, let's make sure that or with it, make sure that is consistent. So make sure that we're delivering the club as consistently as possible. And that's kind of where I've found, especially, when you get into a launch monitor that gives you club data and can give it to you accurately, the biggest thing is seeing how accurately and how consistently can we deliver that club the same way every single time, because if not, then it's probably not the right club for us.
Okay. And I promise I'll let the other guys talk, but digest what I don't know if it's a term you guys use down there in Florida, but I always hear club fitters saying smash factor. Is that something can you explain that a little bit for me?
Yeah, so I will say, like, smash factor is something that is, in some ways it's overrated and in some ways it's underlooked, because if you hit it off center on any club, and sweet spot, I've talked about this, is only about the size of a thumbnail. So you hit it off center, you're not going to be able to maximize the ball speed that's coming off of that club face. But with that, it's also having to do with what's the club path coming into the ball. And then a lot of people don't realize this, but the lower lofted the club is, the higher your smash factor can potentially be. So that's why when you get fit for a driver, if your smash factor is 1.5, which is basically kind of maxing out the speed of, if you're swinging at 100 miles an hour, if you're producing 150 miles an hour ball speed, you're pretty much maxing out the ball speed that you can produce with that particular club. But you're never going to get a pitching wedge to 1.5 smash factor, because there's too much loft in the club and it's creating lift, not speed. So that's kind of where, when people talk about loft jacked irons, the reason why we're able to hit them further is not necessarily because we're hitting them lower. It's because it's being delivered at less loft, therefore it can produce more speed. And a lot of times you're getting the same amount of peak height because now you're hitting it further. So it's just going at a same trajectory, but we're peaking at a higher point, and then obviously ball's got to drop.
Wow. Well said. I get it.
You're sounding a little like Bryson right now.
More loft, less speed. That's what I can put it into a simple sentence.
No, I mean, that was when I went to, I hope it's not gonna get you angry. I went to club champion for my fitting. I don't know if that's okay to say. We can bleep that out. We can cut that out one. But no, so I went them, and so I swear, I absolutely swear, at being like my high school career, I played with just tailor-made burners off the shelf, like just like any of us, because our parents aren't gonna invest money into our golf game until we show promise or actually like really show interest. And so a couple years ago, that was all I wanted, was just to get fitted. So, and I swear by it, I encourage everybody to do it. So I got fitted for my irons and my driver, separate years, just because that's when I needed them. And the way I describe it, in layman's term, for my simple brain, I mean, you have a really good explanation of why you should get fitted. Mine is just, it's like the difference between a tailored suit and a non-tailored suit. It fits to you and looks nicer, and in regards to, or just like shoe size. If you're wearing the wrong size shoe, then you're swimming in it. So that's just kind of how I explain it. It's such a difference, and makes it. And for me, it's because I'm a mental case out there, and it's like knowing that those clubs were made for me gives me peace of mind. If I'm messing up, I know it's my fault. There's another reason why I'm messing up, as opposed to that clubs are too long, or the clubs that don't have the right shaft. So I praise the club fitting community. I preach. I should get commissioned, the amount of people I've sent to Club Champion.
So, Sarah, on this end, so obviously there are people who take club fitting not take club fitting very seriously, but swear by club fitting and say it's amazing. There are people who don't, and there are also people who like kind of take it as a joke. What would you say are like the most important parts of club fitting? And then what are some of the like absolutely do not do this when you come to a club fitting?
You mean like if somebody were to walk in and ask for a club fitting, what to do and what not to do? Or
Yeah, so like the do's and don'ts, basically. Like say I'm getting fitted. So what are some of the do's and what are some of the don'ts for club fitting?
So I say like the number one do is give as much feedback to the fitter as possible. Like I made a video about this last week, but like we can tell you everything about the numbers. We can tell you exactly how you are delivering that club, but the one thing that we can't tell you is how that club looks and how that club feels. And especially specific to shafts, we can't tell. I mean, we can see how you're swinging it. We can see if you're struggling with something or if you're really kind of grooving it and it feels good to you. But at the end of the day, the fittings that I enjoy most and the ones that I feel are the most productive is when it's a team effort. When I give a club to somebody and they go, wow, this feels great. Like, I love the way this sets up, everything like that. Those are the most productive. And yes, normally those are your better golfers because they've kind of developed that feel and what they like and what they don't like in a club. But I've had new golfers that I've given them a ping driver, and I had one guy, he goes, this looks like a tire. And I was like, all right, we're taking this out of your hand because you just never feel comfortable with it. So that's the number one do. The don't that I would say is, and I don't mean this to be like rude or anything like that, but don't come into a club fitting and the first thing you tell me is, I need all the help you can get, so give me tips along the way. That for me, and I've had it happen several times, and the first thing that I say is, I'm like, this is a club fitting. If you're looking for instruction, this is a whole separate situation. I'm not an instructor. If I see something, I'm going to point it out. But if you're going in saying, I'm going to come in and I'm going to leave with a better swing necessarily, you're not going into a club fitting for the right reasons. You should look at instruction first, feel comfortable with your swing, and then go into a fitting.
That is brilliant. That
Definitely agree with that statement.
There's only so much that the club technology can do to salvage someone's swing that has that mindset.
And I've told people that even if, and the ones that don't ask for help, and I can see that they're struggling where they, seem like they have a good golf swing and they're just maybe struggling that day, and I'll just point something out and maybe give them an analogy to think about. Or if they're like, let's say really, really steep with the driver and they're just struggling to make contact, and I give them just a couple of setup tweaks or anything like that. And then they're starting to hit it better. But then at that point, I don't really want to fit them for clubs. I want them to feel comfortable with what they're doing first. Come back next week, get a couple range sessions in, and then let's reassess this, because I don't want to fit you for what's going on right now. I want to fit you for what you're moving towards as far as in the golf swing.
Outstanding.
Definitely makes sense.
Wow.
And
Uh-oh, look who it is.
Wow.
On time.
This is your best work, Mike. This is a
I wanted
that's
to be
impressive.
I wanted to be here so bad. Right now.
Oh.
And he's freezing. This is
Oh,
great.
Frozen.
He's gone but not forgotten. Oh man.
30
Sarah,
seconds.
that's Michael, Sarah, if you can still hear us.
Tim, if this doesn't make the clip, I'm gonna be so.
Oh yeah. He's just a thumbnail as we speak.
Oh boy, unbelievable.
I took myself off Wi-Fi. Any better?
Yeah. You're only freezing every once in a while. There you go.
Wow. Well, I heard all you guys had to say. Sarah, I apologize for interrupting, and I wanted to be here so bad because I probably love what you're saying. Have no idea what you're saying, but I'm sure it's terrific, and I'm loving myself. So keep
Mikey, you're gonna have to run this pod back and listen to it because I know you're getting fitted. When do you plan to get fitted, or have you gotten fitted yet?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And you just missed the do's and don'ts. Mike.
Yeah, right. You're totally
do's and don'ts.
you're totally gonna ask for lessons for Tim. You're totally going to. Jeez.
All right, I'm hopping out of here. I apologize, but
Mike, you're staying on. Stay on. You got questions? Come on.
All right, I'll listen. Is it okay? Am I okay though? Wi-Fi?
Yeah, Mike, you're perfect. And if you come in and out, you come in and out. You've missed the first half hour, so it's not like it matters anyway.
Well, I got 3 Nighthawks. I'm running around trying to sync reset. Like no freaking internet. Like I just hopped off Agawam with my baby daughter, pushing her in a little. I was so excited to get here and listen to Sara talk about club fitting, but I'm gonna shut up now.
Well, it'll be posted tomorrow probably. You can listen to it. Get us a good listen, like and subscribe.
So Sara, kind of along the lines of that. So I know when I went into my fitting, I was not really open to the idea of getting a different set of clubs than I wanted. And then when I hit those clubs, I was like, oh, I don't hit these very well. So I wanted to get TaylorMades because I had TaylorMade woods and everything like that. And I was like, I'm going to be a TaylorMade guy. And I got in there and I hit the Callaway Apexes. And I was like, these are the best clubs I've ever hit in my entire life. Like, why did I think I even wanted TaylorMade? And then I hit, I think it was like the TS or the TP10 or something. I hit one of the TaylorMades. I didn't hit them well. What is it like to like go to someone and be like, I know you wanted these, but you're not hitting these great, and you should really look into these right now.
Yeah, it's just a brand.
Well, I mean, I that's another do is to go in as open-minded as you can.
So I failed that, is what you're saying.
Might take notes.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's okay. The one thing I would say is, because of marketing and everything like that, like a lot of people come in, they want to hit TaylorMades, they want to hit the new P790s or the new Stealths, and they really want to force themselves to like it. And at the end of the day, I just kind of tell people, I'm like, it's your money. You can buy what you want, but if you're coming in for a club fitting, I'm not going for second best or third best. I'm trying to find you the best possible option. And that might be a Callaway, that might be a Ping, that might be a Cobra, it could be whatever. And then sometimes I get asked, what do I play? And I go, well, I play a mixed bag. I play whatever feels the best to me, whatever performs the best. And I think sometimes that kind of like eases people's minds too, because that's like, you're not trying to push a certain brand. I was like, no, I don't play a Ping club in my bag, but I will sell you a whole set of Pings if that's the best performing club for you. So I think once you see the numbers, and at least especially for me working at Moon Golf, we allow people to take out demos too and take them out to the course for a couple of days, see how they like them, or take them out to the range. If they come back and the majority of the time they're like, yeah, this is the best club I've ever hit, like that, they'd put it in the bag, swipe my credit card, and here you go.
You stole the my next question right out of my mouth. So it's like asking a car dealer or a car salesman what he actually drives. What does the club fitter actually, what did you get fitted with?
So I'm in the process of changing a couple things. I've been playing my 2-on putter for the last couple of years. I want to change putters. I haven't decided what that's going to be. I've got Cleveland wedges, which I've played since I've got them. Don't need to change them anytime soon. Got
Zip
the
grooves?
Cleveland.
They got those zip grooves in there.
Oh,
Yep.
the zip.
Oh,
Oh, my
yeah.
God,
Oh,
those.
yeah.
Yep. Love those.
Yeah,
I
you're
swear
not
by
into-
those.
I just got them reshafted though, just to match up better with the irons that I got. So again, continuing with the mixed bag, Mizuno 223 irons.
That's right, baby.
I feel like you just picked your college, Tim. You're just-
Oh my God, Tim's going to the University of Mizuno.
Keep going. Sorry, I was waiting for that.
He came out of his chair. Came out of his chair.
Tim did his research. Tim did it. He knew
Yep.
she was gonna say Mizuno. That's for the hat trick.
Yep. So Mizuno irons, I still have actually a Mizuno hybrid in my bag. That's probably going to get switched out once I start testing out hybrids or that type of club. And then I just tested out on the course the last couple days, and basically, along with another club fitter that I work with, fit myself into Cobra LTD fairway wood and Stealth Plus driver.
Wow.
Yeah, so
So
we're
you are
going.
straight, like you don't even have matching what, like you are straight, straight mixed. That's unbelievable.
Now,
did you
love
fit?
that. I thought
Did you
I
fit
was
yourself?
I kind of did, but then so the one like shaft brand that I don't know much about, just because we never had them at PGA, is Oban. And so I asked one of my coworkers, I was like, if you were going to put me in an Oban shaft, what would you put me in? So he recommended the Kiyoshi purple, and I put it in the driver, put it in the fairway wood, took them out to the course the last couple days. I love them, and I'm like, I don't need to hit anything else. Like this is going to be in the bag for sure. So I just need to get everything built and ordered and everything like that, and that's probably going to be my setup, unless something changes tomorrow, because I don't know. I just like testing clubs, but that's probably what the bag's going to look like for 20.
Expensive hobby. Yeah, expensive addiction.
You talked about the shaft, Sara. What is it about your driver shaft, like based on what makes you have a certain shaft as opposed to another, like your swing speed, your muscle mass, like what is it?
I actually had this conversation with a couple of coworkers of mine, just kind of talking about how we look at shafts and a fitting and how we pick certain ones and things like that. For me, what I've realized is the most important is the outside of the weight and the actual flex, which is dependent on the shaft brand because they're not all equal, even within a shaft brand, is the bend profile of the shaft. So whether or not how the butt section, the midsection, and the tip section are all built, and where they're stiff and where they're kind of weaker or softer, that to me plays a lot more into how somebody times up a club and is able to deliver it, almost more than anything else, so long as the weight of the shaft is right. Like you could give somebody a really heavy shaft and they're going to struggle with it no matter what the bend profile of it is, and the flex of the shaft as well. So like for me, when I was kind of fitting myself and getting input from the fitters, I told him, I was like, okay, I like something that's going to feel really firm and stiff in the butt section or the handle section of the shaft, and that kind of is a little bit softer in the midsection, and then a pretty stiff tip section. So from that, he kind of was like, okay, like this is what I would put you into, and it felt really comfortable. And I've tried a couple different shafts that have that similar profile, but whether it's the torque or the specific weight or just that kind of comfort level that I have, because like I said, not every shaft, even that seems the same bend profile, is the same. That's kind of where, at least I think in driver especially, and in the fairway woods, where you're going to feel that the difference between trying out different shafts.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Wow.
You lost me at bend there. Like I have no idea what was just said, but I'm so intrigued.
No, that makes so much sense. Like, and I never thought about it, how it's like broken up by 3 parts. handle and middle and butt. Because my neighbor came over the other day, gave me 2 drivers. One was a Stealth with a stiff shaft, and one was a TaylorMade, like the older TaylorMade with a flex shaft. And I hit it with the flex shaft, and I'm like, man, it feels like I can get it to the ball better. And I think a lot of people can try and be like a pro, or they hit those stiff ones, and I'm trying to learn going into my fitting, like I just want what's good for me.
Yeah, and I think a good fitter will be able to and that's kind of where that feedback that I was talking about with the player is, if you tell me that you're hitting a club and it just doesn't feel right to you, it doesn't feel like the club face is getting to where it needs to be at impact, then I'm looking at, okay, well, the bend profile of the shaft is X, Y, and Z. Let's find something that's different than that. Even if a shaft is like labeled as a high launch, low spin shaft, doesn't actually mean that's going to happen. And I think that's another misconception with club fitting, and people look at a certain shaft and they go, well, yeah, this is supposed to launch low and spin low. Well, the shaft doesn't create it. It's how you deliver the club, and it's supposed to deliver the club in a way that's going to produce that type of ball flight, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen for you.
Right.
Can't confirm that. I did reshaft my 3-wood to a low launch, low spin. Still goes very high. Still goes very, very high. So fitting can help a lot of things, but fitting cannot help me from skying the ever living daylights out of my 3-wood.
Yeah, Ryan, you definitely.
I just saying, Mikey here, going to get a fit. You've had your clubs, Mike, for how long? Since
they were my neighbors. My neighbor was
they were hand-me-downs when you got them. So
it was in 8th grade. That was probably 2005. So they're
15 years ago, Mike.
Your iron game is solid, but the driver, that's what I'm most excited to see you get fitted for, because you don't, you lack distance. Let's just say that. So I think you saying that you don't get the club head where you want it to be, I think that'll make a big difference. But
and I've been hitting a lot in my backyard, and I live right next to a golf course. So the Florida trip we had with the boys and James, I was first time out this year. So you're just trying to get around the course. So I was hitting a soft cut, trying to just stay and play. But now I've tried to get a little more handsy and flip the wrist and hit a draw. So I was actually out there today hitting draws with a 7-iron, even around 100 yards out. So I've never really played around with the ability to hit it. I usually hit a cut into everything, but it's fun to practice, and I am trying to hit it longer, Brian, but I know exactly what you're saying.
I wouldn't have said that if you didn't say it time and time again. I don't know how old your driver is, but it definitely that's that technology and just overall pop. I'm speaking out of line. I'm going off. I found as you were talking, I found my sales order from and looking at all the things, but also finding here is the club fitting terminology spreadsheet. So I'm gonna start rattling off terms sounding, and Sarah will be like, this guy is not legit at all. So if I throw in a little terminology, because I have a cheat sheet here.
This is like when I go talk to the scientists at my company. It's the hemoglobins, they're great, right? And they're just like, dude, get out of the lab. Go back and look at your IT systems, Brendan. Leave us alone.
That reminds me of the kick point of the shaft here. It reminds me of that. It's very in the spin rate and all that. It's insane.
Sara, so I get that, stemming off of what Brian just said, this is a question, is a two-parter. How do I know, or is there a way to know if a driver has lost its pop? And if the second part of the question is, how do I know whether my clubs are too old or not?
Well, I've got this question a couple times, and even me trying to find the answer online, there doesn't really seem to be a definitive answer as far as how many hits a driver can go through before it loses its pop, or even a shaft deteriorates over time as well. So the shaft could eventually kind of become weaker and a little bit more flexible and not as consistent over time as well. But I honestly can't really find anything where it's specifically saying, hey, it can last 10,000 shots or 20,000 shots. And I also think it's a little bit because of how club technology and how manufacturing has changed in the last even just 10 years, that an answer from like 5 years ago could be completely different now. So
Definitely.
I don't really have an answer for that. I've been asked that a couple times and I still don't have an answer for it. As far as if a club is too old for you or compared to like newer technology, I kind of say if your club is past 5 years old, there's probably something that's out there that will perform better than it. Whether or not it's going to be 2 yards difference, or if it's going to be just a lot tighter dispersion, or it's going to lead to 20 more yards, because it also depends. I've had people that come in and even if their driver's only 2 years old or a year old, the fitting was completely off, or they're swinging completely different to what they were a year ago when they originally got that club, whether or not they got fit. So at that point, it becomes pretty easy to beat what their current club is because they were never properly fitted, or what worked for them at that point no longer works for them now. So that kind of plays into it too, is we get people that have had their club for 10 years and sometimes it is tough to beat because it's just so comfortable for them and it still fits them. They've swung the same way for the last 10 years, which majority of people don't, but I don't think there's necessarily like a year, but I would say 5 years tech wise, you can probably find something that's going to be noticeably better. Whether or not that's worth $500 or $600 to you is kind of, up to you.
Wow, I'm very glad I asked that question. Thanks, great answer.
Now, the one bone I do have to pick with you, Sarah, the one bone I have, and I don't know if you'll remember this or not, you were talking about for wedges, and you were saying you should replace them every 9 months to a year. Why do you think we're made of money? Why do you think we're made of money?
The reason I was holding this up is this is one of the things that came out of the folder I got, and
as well,
it could be about wedge
wedges?
shot. Yeah, about wedge grooves. I mean, it could be just big marketing on getting you in and out of the door. It says after 500 shots, wedge grooves are spent, and so if you do the math, that's one round for Brendan. Oh, there we go. He needs
Like
new
two.
wedges every day.
That's like two.
But I don't know.
That was mean. It was well placed, but it was mean spirited, but it was well done.
500
but
shots.
Sarah, back to the real important point. Why do you think I'm made of money?
I'm just a court jester here.
I actually do. So that is like an actual thing though, of like the 500. So like that's kind of like, because we talked about it before with like driver, it's not really measurable when like a driver dies. Like it's just like I know it when I see it. I can feel it. With wedges, they actually do. Like if that's the case, why don't they just why do the club manufacturers not just make the zip core a little bit more zippy? Like what's going on here?
Because they want to sell more wedges. Come on.
I know, but I can't buy more wedges.
I mean, so here's the thing. If you're an avid golfer, because I want to say that when Titleist did their whole testing and everything like that, which obviously could be a lot of just marketing as well, but it was like 65 to 75 rounds is when you'll start to notice a noticeable decrease in spin. Now, whether or not you reach 60 or 70 rounds in a year, if you're playing once or twice a week, you'll reach that number. Or I remember specifically, there's a kid I went to high school with, and I mean, he just loved practicing short game. He'd practice it for hours a day. If his practice session was probably 80% short game and 20% on the range, he legitimately wore the grooves down after about 3 months.
Wow.
Where you could literally see that there were no grooves like right in the center where he was just constantly chipping. So, I mean, wedges are made to spin more and they feel softer. So those grooves are going to wear down more. Also, we're hitting bunker shots and, we're normally not hitting wedges off of, fairway lies all the time. So they're just going to wear down more because of the debris that gets in them. And, we're putting a lot of spin on the golf ball as well. So, I mean, it takes, you're ruining the cover of the golf ball, but then the cover is also kind of digging into those grooves as well. So it's just a club that you're gonna wear down quicker than anything else, because that golf ball is kind of sliding off of those grooves more so than an iron or a driver or anything like that, where it's more direct contact.
Interesting.
It's also like
But why you're not made of money, I don't know.
I could.
Not working hard enough.
That's why I'm not made of money. Wedges is why I'm not made of money.
But
No,
I
I'm
mean,
kidding.
you can get a groove sharpener and you can make those wedges last a lot longer. But at some point, if you ever play tournaments, you probably might be risking making those grooves illegal just by the depth of them.
Interesting.
So that's kind of the other thing too.
Have you heard the people that rust their wedges on purpose in order to do that? What's your take on that? Have you tried rusty wedges versus non-rusty wedges?
I mean, I've tried them. I honestly don't really like the look of rusted wedges. I would rather have matte, like I like my matte black Clevelands. They're anti-glare, they're not gonna rust, and they still look good after. I don't play that much golf, so I've had them almost a year and a half.
I don't love the look, and it pains me for them to take the plastic off a brand new club and then start rusting it right away. It's really tough to see.
I mean, you can do whatever you want to the wedge. It's been proven enough times that as far as spin goes, it's not adding any spin to it. It's mostly just an aesthetics thing. And I think with the newer wedges that kind of have like the micro grooves or certain milling on the face, you're almost covering that up with the rust. So you might actually potentially start decreasing the spin depending on the wedge if it starts rusting too much and you're not really cleaning it and taking care of it. So it's just a look thing to me. It's not a performance benefit.
I'm team anti-rust for sure. If I like the one time I didn't wipe off my club entirely after a round in the rain, the little speck of rust, even if it's not even noticeable, it still hurts me to talk about it now. So I can't. I'm anti-rust.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest like look of the rust, but I will say the old zip cores, the old Cleveland zip cores that were like copper, like I used to love that look. And now they've gone more, like you said, like they have matte black and then they have the silver ones. They got rid of, like I had those copper wedges for I would say like 6 or 7 years, and I just because I love the look at them, and I'm like, I don't know,
the full copper, right, not the splotchy. The people when they rust it like on their own splotchy look.
It makes it look terrible. So now I'm just like, But anyways, I digress. No more wedge talk. We've done enough wedge talk. It's gonna get me more angry.
Hey, I have a wedge question.
How's the wedge salad?
Oh,
come on now.
Go ahead, Tim, if you have an actual wedge question.
Yeah, I do.
I'm gonna laugh my ass off.
It seems like wedges, whether you go with the most expensive wedge, a PXG wedge, or whatever the most expensive wedge is, or say something like the lower brands like Lazarus Golf or Bomb Tech Golf, it seems like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, please. Wedges, I feel like it's like the technology that hasn't changed that much over the period of time compared to a driver, compared to irons. Is it really make that much difference to get the $200 wedge rather than the $50 wedge? Is the technology that much better for an expensive club versus a cheap club as far as wedges go?
So I would say yes and no. So when we talk, like I know the Bomb Tech wedges, or I've had questions about the Kirkland wedges, the downside to those clubs is that you're limited in the bounce and the grind options. Okay. So when you go to a Vokey or you go to a Cleveland or Callaway, whatever it may be, you get those extra options. And so at the end of the day, that might be something that fits your game better and is ultimately the better performing club. I haven't tested out like the Kirklands or the Bomb Techs or kind of the lower price wedges, but I can say just from like indoor monitor testing, you really, for the most part, don't see much of a difference brand to brand in terms of spin rates, where one is significantly better than the other. But you do notice they set up differently. Like ping wedges, to me, when I look down at them, they just look so circular and round, and I don't feel comfortable hitting them. But something like, I love my Clevelands because they've got a straighter leading edge. It sits up well for me, and I can hit the shots that I want to hit. So performance wise, it might not be a huge difference just on stock shots. It's just that you have limited options when you go into those kind of lower price wedges. And also I don't think they really specify the shafts that they put into them either. So you're probably also just not getting the best quality shaft either. So that can also kind of play into it as well.
Interesting. Thank you.
Interesting.
Any more wedge questions?
No, we're done with wedges. We're
Salad.
done.
We got to get back to the salad. We never answered that one.
Yes, we're not answering salad questions, Ryan. I guess Mike, like for your, do you have any like well, first of all, if you heard, go in with an open mind, so don't just have brands that you want to play with. But if you had to pick a brand that you wanted for each of your set, what would it be? And then when we come back, we can say how the club fitter, changed your mind or you kept with it.
And definitely make sure you ask swing tips from your fitter. It's very important.
Ask swing tips and ask them how they can improve your game, because that's what they're there for. They're not there to have you
it's a 2-for-1.
Help you pick clubs. They're actually just there for instruction.
They love it. Yeah, they love it.
Are they gonna try and sell me on,
They're gonna try and sell you Miuras to start.
Well,
so you gotta have that $5,000 ready to go, Mikey, for those irons.
Miuras and autoflex shafts.
No, I'm going in open mind.
That's like $12,000 right there.
$2,000, maybe a $2 to $3,000 budget. Who knows? That's a lot. Hopefully, my wife.
Great budget. That's a great budget.
Well, so that was the thing. I went into my fitting for my irons with an open mind. And also I also went in with a hangover. I was pretty hungover at that time, but that's different. But I walked out. I mean, a lot of the time the shafts can cost a lot more than the rest of the club. But I walked out. I have Ben Hogan's as my irons, and it's like, and I personally like that. I mean, I feel just because of the marketing and all the big name brands, like I feel I don't have as much swag out on the golf course, so to speak. But I know that it was actually fit for me. I don't feel like he tried to upsell me on some of the big ones. And I probably wasn't hitting them well anyway. So I think that was important going in with the open mind. And then even when I did the driver separately. And so like, obviously again, with the marketing, I was like, it was the TaylorMade Sim 2 at the time, as it was like last year, 2 years ago. I was like, I want to hit this. And my friend had a Sim, and I really wanted to be able to hit it. I just couldn't hit it. And I tried it at the beginning of the fitting, couldn't hit it. I was topping it, do whatever. And then so right at the end, he was like, yeah, you're definitely a ping G425 max guy. And so that's what I hit now. But I was like, can I just try the sim one more time? Maybe I was just warming up. And so I tried the sim again and couldn't hit it. So I was like, okay, that gave me peace of mind, because the driver right behind me with Frank on it right now is my TaylorMade burner that I've had since 2009, the trusty TaylorMade burner. So that I was like, I think I'm a TaylorMade driver guy. But yeah, no matter, I know, Mike, your irons are ping and your driver's Titleist. Don't shell yourself off. That's my club fitter, the club fitter guide advice from me. Now we can let the expert actually talk on behalf.
That is one question I did have, though. Good job, Mike. Fitting a putter. How difficult is that?
Well, I will tell you, I wish I had this podcast like a month from now, because
Come on back.
Yeah, come on back after you do it.
Well, I promise you, we won't have any other guests, so we won't be.
Like putter fitting, just kind of looking at somebody's putting stroke, not really all that difficult as far as trying to narrow down a club head for them and what the toe hang, or if it should be face balanced. So the hosel style should be not extremely difficult. But what I will say, and one of the things I'm really excited for, is we're putting in a putting studio. It's getting built right now, where it's going to be Quintex. So it's going to be capturing not only what the club head is doing kind of through impact, but also the golf ball as well. So really kind of nitpicking and narrowing down, what specific club head in a brand works, better for somebody, but also what loft and what lie angle they should be, because that's kind of stuff that we can't really see just watching somebody putt on a little practice screen. but I'd say, the basics of just kind of figuring out based off of your putting stroke and how you release the club head is pretty simple. It's just those little, if we're really going to dive into it, then you definitely need some sort of, putting analyzer to kind of help with that.
Not sure if you saw Willie Zalatoris putting this weekend,
Oh,
but goodness, does his backstroke look terrible.
I don't think he needs a fit. I think he needs an instruction on that.
We were talking about it at the shop. He putted well the first 2 rounds, but if he could putt consistently, he probably would have won that tournament.
Yeah.
And
but
then we would have had Timmy eating crow cake
Yeah.
during this.
so Tim's hot take is he will never win a PGA Tour event, major or
Not even
other.
a major, a PGA, and we lost Mike. Anyways.
Yeah, no, a tour event altogether.
A PGA Tour event, period. So
So he was shaking in his boots that playoff.
I have already contacted a bakery. I will not say what bakery, but one day Tim will get a nice big old cake in the shape of a crow with Will Zalatoris written on it, and he has to eat it during the podcast.
Yeah, it was. I live to see another week. That's for sure. My prediction is still alive. I'm still, whatever.
I was
Everything
very
else is
close.
good right now.
It was very close this week.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah.
One quick question. I always ask this to any guest that comes on. Do you have any hole-in-ones? No hole-in-ones? Neither.
no hole-in-ones, just
None of us.
out from the fairway for eagle. Never had a hole-in-one. I was actually very close. Today actually.
Wow.
Oh, that would have been unreal. That would have been fantastic.
Wow. That would've been-
Actually,
Actually, it was today.
it was 4 inches past the hole. So,
Oh, so
I'm
you gave it
pretty
a
close.
chance. You gave
I'm
it a chance.
really close, but I have not had one.
So out of everyone, I think that's still only Landon that we've interviewed that's had it. And he
Yeah.
went out, he got the certificate and everything. He's like, guys, check it out. Like,
Where was that at Sawgrass?
yes, it was at TPC Sawgrass.
Yeah,
He had
just
a hole in
casually
one.
at Sawgrass. It's just
Not
like,
Not 17 though. No, I think it was. I forget. I think it was
Like
7,
a-
6 or
I mean,
7, something like
any,
that.
yeah, any
One of
other
the front
list
9.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If you would have hit a TPC set, if you would have hit it at 17, I would have jumped in that alligator infested water so quick. I would have been like, "Take me now! Life will not get better than this."
Dude, that's funny now that like we just talked about him being at Sawgrass. I feel like he always has to follow like not 17 though. Like that's so important. It's always kind of like when someone
You always have
gets
to
a hole
say
in
it.
one after they took a mulligan or like a drop, you hole it out and it's just a par. You're like, oh well, I did hole out on a par 3, but it went in the water first. It's like you always have to add that asterisk.
Well, yeah, if anyone goes back and watches this, you'll see TPC Sargas and then Sarah's face lights up when she thinks,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
And then we had to clarify, not 17.
Don't worry, we're video podcasts both on Spotify and on YouTube, so everyone can see it. Everyone can see the face reaction. It was pretty great. I will say it was impressive.
Sarah, have you played any cool courses down there in Florida? You know,
Have
have you played any cool courses down there in Florida, like
Oh,
TPC Sargas or desirable courses?
I lived in Jacksonville, went to school in Jacksonville, never played TPC Sawgrass, so that was a regret. I've played PGA National. I did that course. I've played Trump Doral a couple times, including the Blue Monster. I've played Old Memorial, if anybody knows that, in the Tampa area.
Oh, so I see your Melbourne's close to Orlando or right there. That's where we did our golf trip recently. We were in Orlando, so we played the Disney Palms. We played Champions Gate, and
Love Champions Gate.
yeah, that was our last one, our last hurrah, and it was great. It was super windy, and it was great, but like that was fun. And Celebration was the other one.
I played Celebration last week, actually, on Tuesday. It's only like an hour drive from Melbourne, so we try to go to Orlando and play some of the courses there.
Great. Golf year round must be fantastic. I'm jealous.
Well,
I was
on
in
the
South
2 days
Carolina,
that I'm
so.
off of work, yes, try to get as much golf in as possible.
Work and play, doing the same thing. That's great.
Can't escape golf.
I don't do HR in my off time when I'm off the clock.
Tim, you want to ask the 2 questions that we all, well, besides the hole in one, our two parting questions?
Yes, our 2 parting questions. So every week I do is a golfer poll. It's back when I first started on TikTok. It was that was my one reoccurring thing was a golfer poll.
Someone stole it, by the way. Someone has stolen.
Yeah, what do they call it?
They don't call it golfer poll though. They call it golfer debate. I'm very mad.
That's dumb. That's like when you right click synonyms on Microsoft Word to see like
he's like golf debate. I don't follow him yet. I probably will follow him, but I am gonna tag you in one of them when it comes to like a similar one. I'm tagging you and I'm be like, get a load of this guy.
All right. So Sara, you are stranded on an island. You have unlimited golf balls. But you can only bring 1 club to this island. Which club are you bringing to that island?
Oh, easy. Driver.
Love that.
They don't call her Sara D for nothing. Driver.
Sarah Driver. That's
Driver,
great.
easily.
Disagree. Anyway.
I mean, it's
Right.
not,
We
if
have
there's
to always
like
bring it up.
If there's a boat, at least I might have a chance of hitting them and getting
Oh,
wrecked on the island.
geez. Survival purposes. I like that. You don't have a flare. He didn't say you had a flare.
Exactly. And I'm short, so I need the longest club in the bag.
Wow.
Long drive, 50-inch driver. We'll just
If that doesn't help your accuracy, I don't know what will. It's literally, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Like, it's the kind of like, if you need to alert somebody, your pinpoint accuracy is on point. But that always brings us to, do you want to know what Brendan would like to bring to his island? The opposite of the driver.
Yeah, I bring a putter because when I get back, I'm going to be sinking 25-foot putts on the goddamn reg. I'm going to be PGA Tour level putting. I'm be Jordan Spieth out there. It may take me 4 shots to get to the green, but once I'm on the green, it's going in.
Apparently, there's a green on this stranded island.
That's
hey, you never said there wasn't. You never said there wasn't. Just putting it out there.
Good point.
Valid.
You could also bring a 56 or a 60-degree wedge and just become an amazing bunker player, but I digress. Anyways, continue.
All right, Sara. Second question. I want you to think about some of the greatest holes that you've always wanted to play in your life. But I want you to take a look into your backyard. You can have any hole on the PGA Tour or your local muni or whatever, some hole that you love that you either have played or want to play as your backyard. What hole would you want as your backyard?
Oh gosh.
We got the oh gosh.
Well, I live in an apartment, so that'd be hard to get in a backyard. But
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Talk to the landlord. Gotta talk to the HOA.
You just look out, and your backyard is that hole.
Man. Oh boy, you really got me there. I'd have to say it'd have to be an Augusta hole, because otherwise I'm never going to get to play that course.
You can't get there, bring it to you.
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't even think I could pick out a specific hole. Let's make it 18 at Augusta.
Love it.
That's great.
Love it. Dog leg right around the corner, up that narrow chute. Man.
I would hit a tree every single time.
There. So, I don't really want a par 3, because can only do so much with that.
That's always our logic, is going with a par 5 or even a 4, just because you can make it's versatile. You gotta do that. Yeah, and with your pinpoint accuracy from your island, you'll get it right up the chute off the tee there on 18.
Then I'll come in and putt.
Great answer, Sara. Great answers all around. Oh, I feel very informed after this interview, after this podcast.
Yes. I still don't know exactly what when you come back, we'll talk more about shafts, because I feel like that part was just 15 minutes of me being I should know what we're talking about here, but I have absolutely no idea what we're saying.
Brian, what do you need to know about flicks, Is it club head speed, bounce
I
angle?
don't
What do you
know.
need?
The
I'll
guys
run
just
through this
said-
list for you, and
For my irons, they
we'll
said
save
get
Sara.
true temper
Let
stiff.
Sara go to
They
bed.
said get true temper stiff steel shafts, and I was like, okay, I'm getting true temper stiff steel shafts. So I got those, and they work great, and I love them. But that's it. Anyways, Sara, thank you so much for coming on, for being the maiden female voyage in our goal to not only expand the podcast, but also, and not just expand golf, but also expand the women's game. So we very, very much appreciate it. And we will definitely be having you back, and we can have more discussions once the nice little putting studio gets into. I can actually understand why we do a putting lesson and everything like that. Or sorry, a putting fitting and everything
that's a
like
don't.
that.
Uh-oh,
That's a
we
big
already
don't.
got into the do's and the don'ts. Okay.
Number one
We're
don't.
back to the number one don't. Oh God, we're gonna have and no more lessons for Brendan, just fittings. That's what I'm gonna call him from now on.
You know what might be the best part about this whole podcast is because a lot of people ask me about club fitting advice, just because I may know slightly more than them and in golf, which is a misconception because I know nothing about golf. And so now I have an answer for them. I can say, just go listen to this episode, because we actually have a club fitter who we just interviewed. So Sara, thank you so much for being our go-to club fitting expert. And also, real quick, I just want to shout out Kaylee, because I told her I would. She is an avid listener to this podcast. She took advice from us that we learned from Chasing Aces Golf, and so
Something you should never do is take advice from us, but
right.
Yes.
So
Don't take
took
advice from us. Take
Chasing
advice
Aces.
from our guests.
Yes. So Chasing Aces, Sara DeMarco, listen, Sara D, the club fitter. Here we go.
that's
Thank
great.
you so much, Sara. We appreciate it.